So I don't know if I'm talking to myself today or what, but we'll just wait and see if anybody joins us. I see that I have 2 viewers right now, so say hello, whoever you may be, and we'll just see if we get a few more. Heaven only knows I didn't give you much warning about this, and I hope you can see me and hear me okay. Let me know. And I may be talking to myself today. I don't know. Oh, I've got 5 people now according to this. So say hello. And I'm kind of watching this on my cell phone as well. Ilona's here. Hi, Ilona. And Cindy. Hi, Cindy. Good. So you can see me and you can hear me okay. That's great. I'm just waiting see if anybody else is going to join us before we get started. But before we do, let's just have a general talk. So how are things going? I hope you're all healthy and safe and everything like that. And I'm going to try to look into this camera because I think it's a little better. I keep looking up at my big television screen, and that means I raise my head, so I try not to do that. Yeah, we're good. 12th day of captivity, as I like to call it. We are doing self-isolation like everybody else should be too. We haven't been sick. We haven't come into contact with anybody with the virus. So we're good, but we're doing what our government and our health authorities in Canada are telling us to do. And so we're sticking by that. We're keeping our social distancing. We're actually not going out anywhere where there's people. We do take the occasional walk around the neighborhood. And if we see anybody coming along, on the sidewalk, we move over to the other side of the street from them. And it's kind of a weird feeling doing that because you feel like you're being very antisocial. And even though I haven't run into anybody that I really know, I just feel, awkward about it. It's bad manners. But I guess everybody understands that's what we have to do right now, right? Good, Cindy. I'm glad that you're healthy as well. Um, yeah, yeah. We have not officially been have not been declared on lockdown, although I haven't seen the news yet today. Every day our prime minister comes on at around 11 o'clock and gives us basically a State of the Union address, telling us what things are going on, what they're doing, and everything like that. Um, Glad I don't have his job right now, that's for sure. And yes, the cases are increasing every day here in Canada. The United States is going nuts. Um, it's I don't want to get political here, but you can definitely tell the difference between Canada and the United States when it comes to healthcare. Our healthcare is a better system. Now, mind you, we have less people than the United States, but nevertheless, we have a lot of faith in our Prime Minister. He's been doing, as far as I'm concerned, he's been doing an excellent job. And I know a lot of Americans wish they could say that about their leader, too. Um, Yeah, Cindy, I know how you feel about that because my mom is in the nursing home and it's completely locked down. We can't go in and see her. I call her on a regular basis. She is fine. Right now, I think she's probably in the best place she could be in. I'm just very happy that, well, happy as one can be, I guess. I'm just happy that this situation happened after she got into a nursing home because if she'd been living on her own, well, she wouldn't have been. Either my sister or we would have to move her in with us, and oh my God, that would be worse than having to face the virus. I am joking a little bit, not completely. But anyways, you probably understand what I mean. But anyway, she's getting the best of care. They're being extremely strict in the rules. No visitors, nothing. So that's good. Yeah, I know. We still have some idiots here too in our country as well. In fact, in the grocery stores, which are now considered essential, of course, they're installing plexiglass barriers between the cashiers and the people, which, you know, it very much feels like a police state in that way, but we've got to do it. It's as simple as that. Now, I actually made a couple of face masks for Walter and myself. In fact, I was making them because I saw lots of tutorials online about them. And I know our healthcare workers, there's a real shortage of these, although our prime minister said that they're retooling certain industries to make hand sanitizer and proper protective gear for the health, the first responders and everything, and which is great. There's a lot of grassroots movements popping up to make more of them, but from what I've been reading, these really don't protect the healthcare workers. They only act more or less as a bit of a barrier if you have a cough or something like that, and keeps, you from spraying on other people. But they don't have a filtering system in them, and some people are saying, well, it's better than nothing. But I've also heard that some of the healthcare workers are refusing to wear those kind of things because they're just not protecting them in the environment they're in. So there you go. You don't know. You want to do a good thing and, make these things, but, if they're of no use to anybody, it's better place our energies in other areas, I guess. Um, Hi, Aunt B. Nice of you to join us too. I know this was short notice and everything like that, but that's the way I've been these days when it comes to doing these kind of things. Um, I worked on another segment of my grimoire for my craft channel, for my vlog. You'll see that next Monday. I hadn't thought of doing that as a live as well, but it actually is kind of, well, I don't know. It might have been boring, but I didn't want to jump ahead because I'm doing this whole thing as a series. And so I decided that wasn't good to do as a live. Um, so I thought I'd do this today, and I guess maybe I'll just get into it. Just ask Aunt B here. How are you doing, Aunt B? You're in the UK, aren't you, or are you? I might be getting things mixed up here, which is not unusual for me. Um, okay, well, thanks, Ilona. That's really nice of you to say so. I will show you what I've been working on. Actually, when I did the last live, I was working on this as well, and I'm getting closer. Just out of the shot for a second here. You saw me making these very large blocks. Can I get them in here? Okay. I need 8 of these for the quilt that I'm making. It's called Doves of Hope. And I've got one more of these large blocks to make. Then I can start assembling them and getting the finishing touches to the top and then quilt it. I'm really liking how it's turning out. Each of the blocks are slightly different. They use the same colors and same fabrics, but in a different order. And so I think it's coming along quite nicely. I had thought of today of actually doing a sew along with that as well, but yeah, I found this little project, which I'm going to talk about in a second here. Um, oh, okay, you're in South Carolina. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear it, B. Yes, it is a bit like flying geese. It's half square triangles that make the points, and yeah, but it does have that style of flying geese. Okay, well, if some more people join us, I see that there's actually 8 here. Oh, Franken's here. Hi, Franken from San Francisco. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. And maybe a few other people will join us as well. Now, this one isn't going to go on as long as the first live that I did on here. That was about 2.5 hours long. Got a little carried away, although I found it a lot of fun. I hope other people did too. And well, many of you stayed with me. I don't have a lot of people come on these lives, as you know. I'm a niche kind of crowd pleaser, I guess. I don't know. But that's okay. It doesn't really matter. It's quantity. No, it's quality, not quantity. Oh, a little mixed up there. So I'm going to show you what it is that I found and I'm making. Now, I saw this listed on the Janome site. Janome is the manufacturer of my sewing machine. And they have a little newsletter that comes out pretty much every day. And these were listed on that. And at first I was going to ignore it because it seemed kind of Mickey Mouse. Okay, like what was I going to do with these tiny little baskets? But I thought about it, printed it out, and I've had a lot of fun making these, as you're about to see. Now, they are done in the embroidery machine, although I think you could adapt this design. Oh, excuse me, hiccups. You could adapt this design to do for regular sewing as well. But I'm going to do it in, oh God, I got the hiccups really bad. Sorry about that. Oh, thank you, Ilona, again. But anyways, what was I talking about? The tiny baskets. Anyways, I'm doing them in my embroidery machine because I think it's really cool. And I'm showing you that an embroidery machine, if you don't have one, but if you've ever considered getting an embroidery machine, they do more than just embroider. Okay, there's a lot of little things you can make in them. So I've been playing around with this. So without further ado, let me show you some of my little tiny baskets. Get them up here. Okay, first one I made is this one. And I had embroidered on the front of it stuff, because there's stuff in it. And you can see they're not very big. But you know, they're kind of nice. They could sit on your desk or whatever. You could put pens, pencils in it, you know, little bits and pieces of whatever, some sticky notes. And this is what they look like inside. The embroidery machine actually draws out, as you're going to see here in a minute, the outline for this. And then you just cut around that outline and put it together. There is no other sewing necessary, and you don't need any glue. There's little tabs here on the side, and you'll see when I assemble one, and they easily just fold in, and it holds the little basket together. Now, this is made from felt. I'll show you another one here. Put those away. Here's another one. This one, the first one I showed you was made from, oops, I'm losing everything. Made from felt. This one's actually made from fabric. Now, they're a little bit limper, but there are ways to stiffen your fabric. There's products you can get that you can brush on or spray onto the fabric, and it stiffens it up. I actually used 2 layers of fabric in this, and that seemed to work pretty good. Now, in the felt one, it's going to be on stabilizer, and I'll talk a little bit about what stabilizer is in a second. But another thing that you could do is I decided to make the pattern a little bigger. So here, and I'll show you in comparison, it's a little awkward here. I'll show you in comparison. There's the first one. You see how much smaller that one is? And this is a little bigger. The thing is, you're limited in sizes according to the size of the hoop that you use in your embroidery machine. So this is pretty much as big as I can make it in my embroidery machine. However, if you were to make it without an embroidery machine, if you were to adapt the pattern, you can make it as big as you want, really. I'm just not so sure how you would finish off the edges. That might mean you'd have to use like a satin stitch or a blanket stitch, and you'd have to know how to use your sewing machine to do that around it. But still kind of cute. Now, they're just not good for holding little things in. Here's another one. This is a bigger one made with the fabric, and you can see it's a little limper. This one I only used 1 layer of fabric, and I use stabilizer? Yeah, I used some stabilizer in it. But I think if you're going to make it out of fabric, you really need to stiffen your fabric with it. But another thing you can make is this. How about a pin cushion? So all I did here was I took a piece of scrap fabric, sewed up 3 sides of it, left an opening in the top. I actually folded in half, sewed it around 3 sides, but left an opening in one of the sides. Put in some of that fluffy stuffing that you get for like making stuffed animals or things like that. Sewed it together, scrunched it all up. There's no glue or any sewing. I just scrunched it up, put it, forced it in. I made it a little bigger than the basket so it would stay in there. And there you got a pin cushion. Really cool. But then I got thinking, what else could I do? And Easter's coming, and so why not make it into a cute little Easter basket and fill it with candies. I've got some little chocolate bunnies in here and things like that. Now, don't look at my little plastic bags around the bunnies too close, because all I had were the candy wrap bags from Christmas. So that's what I used on here, but it's for demonstration purposes. And you notice I changed the little embroidery piece at the front where it said stuff before. Now it's got a little butterfly on it. So really cute. I mean, not that we're all going to be able to get out and get together probably with extended family over Easter holidays, but you know, we're all closed in, and I was thinking this would be a way to brighten up a Christmas meal while we're all shut in. Just put one of these at each person's place setting and stuff it with whatever you've got laying around the house. That might be kind of nice. So, having said that, I'll just check here what people are saying as I rattled on. Ilona's thinking about getting an embroidery machine. You want to know something? They're expensive, but they're fun. I have had more fun with this machine since I've got it. And so many projects out there, and you can download off the internet from various sites, and they're not that expensive to buy patterns. And there's a lot of things, like you can do what they call freestanding lace. You can do 3D kind of things that stand up on their own. I did a gingerbread house at Christmas time. And I think I showed that in a video. I didn't show actually making it, but I did show what the end product looked like. And that turned out great. And there's all kinds of things you can do. And of course, you know that now I am actually doing the quilting of my quilts using my embroidery machine too. So I do not regret the money I spent on this. Now, mind you, this machine is top of the line one that Janome has. So it's a very expensive machine. But Walter bought just a straight embroidery machine. This one sews and embroiders. A lot of the machines, the ones that are a little less expensive, they you can't sew on them. They're strictly for embroidery. But he bought one of those, and I think it was about, I want to say 2,500, 3,000 maybe for it. Yeah, expensive, but you won't regret it. I can tell you that. Yeah, they are cute, aren't they, Franken? Um, yeah, thanks, Ilona. Yeah, the gingerbread house took a long time to make, but it was fun. And I want to do a few more of those. They have some I've seen. I've got a pattern right now, a program. When I say pattern in embroidery, it's basically a program that you plug into your machine. These are all computerized. And it's for making a old style truck that stands on its own, just like a gingerbread house. I thought it was kind of fun. And there's one of a lighthouse that I'd like to get my hands on and do that too, because I have a fascination with lighthouses. And you can get whole villages. Actually, I saw a complete Christmas village kit on one of the sites I go to, but it was expensive. It was on sale for about 399 American dollars. So that means it's like, oh, about $1 million in Canadian these days with that. But you can also buy, it was a collection. You can also buy individual parts of it, which are less expensive if you didn't want to do the whole village, you only wanted to do a few of the houses. So yeah, you can do a lot of things with these. So let's take a look at, I'm going to put my phone up here for now, hope it doesn't fall off. And you can see right now what I've got in my hoop. And I want to talk about how you do this. The white pieces you see right here now, and I hope you can see these clearly, this is stabilizer. Actually, it's called tearaway stabilizer, and it's just as the name says, it's easy to pull off your project. It just, wherever your stitches go, after you've finished it, you pull your hoop off, and you can just tear away the stabilizer. And it will wash out after several washings as well, although it's not particularly meant for things like that. You can get a water-soluble stabilizer. The reason I'm not using water-soluble stabilizer in this is because this actually adds some body to the basket. I don't actually tear it off. It's inside the basket. It serves as a lining and it keeps the basket stiff. So that's why I leave it in there. It's probably not really meant to be done that way, but that's how I do it, and that seemed to work out okay. Now, I did try making one of the baskets that I showed you using water-soluble stabilizer, because water-soluble stabilizer is basically a glue. When you wash it out, if you rinse it out, you can leave some of it behind and it dries clear. You don't even know it's there, but it will stiffen your fabric as well. Well, I tried that, and either I washed too much of it out or whatever, but it didn't really keep my fabric as stiff as I would have liked it. I would have to experiment with that more. But for now, and for what these are, this works fine. The other thing you need is a piece of felt. Now, I told you I did some with fabric, but the felt works a little better. I'm using, actually, I had in my stash, I had a couple of these from Cricut. This is the Cricut felt you can buy on Cricut.com. It's not a bad price. You get quite a few sheets of it. I think in this particular one there is, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 12 by 12 sheets of felt in different colors, as you can see. And it works very well, but you don't have to have Cricut felt. You could get felt, you know, that you might have laying around the house right now. I was going to say you go out to Michael's and pick up some, or Joann's, but not probably a good thing to do right now, even if they are open, but down the road. But this works pretty well. It's a nice quality felt. You want a fairly thick felt too. Felt comes in different thicknesses, so you want to purchase something that's fairly thick side. So I've already hooped up my stabilizer, and all I'm going to do is something called float. I'm going to float my felt on top, and it's a little bigger in my hoop, and that's the way I want it. Now you might think, well, will this move around? No, it won't. Once I hold it down with my hands for the first few stitches, and then after that it's pretty much stuck there. So this, before I start this up, let's see what people are asking, or anybody has any questions about this. I see we're down to 5 people, so this wasn't for everybody, I guess. Sorry about that, but such is life. Or people have other plans. That's okay. I don't take offense to that kind of thing. And thank you to whoever gave me the like. That's nice. Okay, so I have threaded my machine with black thread, as you can see over here. The reason I'm using black thread is so you can see it. Normally I would probably use a complementary color or something like that, but this is a demo of how this works, and so I thought I'd just use black thread. So I'm all set up. I've got my pattern in my machine, and I'm just going to hit start, and away we go. Cross your fingers, hope everything's threaded right. It looks fine. Okay, let's move up the speed a little bit. Okay, let's go. And here we go. Now I'm just holding it down for a second, just until it gets started. And there we go. I hope you can still hear me okay. You should be able to. I've got microphones sitting right up here. So this takes about 10 minutes to do this. So while it's doing the design, we can talk. So, what's everybody been doing to keep themselves busy while we're all shut in? I know I've been doing a lot of sewing, as you know, some crafting, cleaning my house. I do have a cleaning lady, but of course I don't have her right now. Not putting her in harm's way or anything like that. She does have a couple of young children at home, and so I've had to do it the old-fashioned way myself. Anyone know something? I kind of like doing it. I guess it's because I haven't done it so long, but I'm sure the novelty will wear off soon enough. Yeah, shopping online, true. I've been actually resisting that because I could shop all day long online. So, yeah, only have so much money, Gotta watch the pennies, so to speak. But, of course, I did buy some more embroidery designs the other day. I bought ones that I can use for quilting. And then I got thinking, I have a tendency to buy duplicates of things. When I first got into scrapbooking, for example, I just absolutely loved scrapbooking paper. And now what I've done is I've substituted my love for scrapbooking paper with my love of fabric. And I go out and I see a paper pad and I buy it and get home and realize, hey, 6 months before then I bought the same pad before. So I had a lot of duplicates at one point in time. And I gave away a lot of my duplicates when I did my big purge about 2 years ago of my craft room, which I need to do again. And I gave those to a local elementary school. I took in 2 banker boxes stuffed full of paper pads, and each box had to have had about 30 paper pads in it, or more, and many of them had never been opened. They still had the seal on them. And, paper pads are actually kind of pricey. They range anywhere from $20 to $40 a piece. And when I took them into the school, 2 secretaries that were there, they were scrapbookers, it turned out. And they said, oh yeah, the teachers are going to love this for, their art program. But we're not letting them know about it until we've gone through the box. We're scrapbookers. So I hope the teachers got some of them. I'm sure they did. But yeah, I had a lot of duplicates. So when I was online yesterday looking at quilting patterns, I had bought a collection and I thought I better sort out what I've got. So I did. I went through all the ones that I had, put them into one directory on my little jump drive. That's how you get the patterns onto the machine. And I made a big binder. of everything. I printed out what the designs look like, I organized them according to the directory they were in, and now I know what I've got, so I don't end up buying duplicates from it all. So what this is doing right now is, you can see the outline here, but now it's doing these what look like buttonholes. If you're familiar with how to do a buttonhole on a sewing machine, that's what, actually technically that's what this is doing. And these are the little spots where these tabs up here, when it gets folded, will go into. And I'm going to show you how you open those up. It's a nifty little way. If you've ever done a buttonhole on your sewing machine, you probably know how to do this already. But essentially what the machine is doing a small satin stitch all the way around the little hole that it's creating to reinforce it. Now, the one thing I didn't pull up and I need to pull up is I need a scrap of fabric for what for the little part that said stuff, which you can go in and change to whatever you want. And I'm just looking here in this little scrap pile I have underneath my. Do I want yellow on yellow? Yeah, that would work. I think that's big enough. Or do I want some other color here? Just let me sort through. Let's see, blue would work. Is that big enough? No, that piece isn't big enough. There's some more down here. I'm digging deep. There's a piece of yellow. That'll work. That'll do. It's yellow on yellow, but this yellow has a bit of a pattern to it, so that'll be okay. I'm just doing this one for demo purposes only. It's a little wrinkly. This is the piece I'm going to use. I'm just going to go out of camera shot for just a second. I just want to press this. So I'm just pressing it. Okay, I'm back. And I just gave it a little press to get the wrinkles out of it. And we'll come to that in just a moment or two. Now, this machine tells me how much time is left in the process it's doing now. And according to it, it's got about, it also tells me the number of stitches. It's got about 2,400 more stitches to do. And it's running at about 700 stitches per minute. Now, I can speed that up, and I think I will, to 1,000 stitches per minute. This is its max, and that will reduce the time. I think there's about 4 minutes left, it says here. Hope I'm not boring you to tears with this. But it's almost there. It's almost done. Well, this part of it anyways. You can see, though, this moves along at quite a good speed. So really, if you were making multiples of these, it wouldn't take you that long. And they're pretty fast to assemble, too, as you'll find out. Well, I'm glad you're not bored. You know, sometimes you think it might be like watching paint dry. But anyways, yeah, so what we're talking about, things we're doing. So as I said, basically I have not gone anywhere in 12 days, except for a walk. Walter too, of course. He's been glued to the internet. That's all he's been doing, is reading on everything about the virus and tracing out the progress of it and that kind of thing. He likes to do that kind of thing, though. That's kind of his hobby, okay, keeping himself well informed. I'm getting a little tired, though, of the news reports each day because everything's doom and gloom right now, isn't it? And I'm trying not to fall into despair over this. This will be over at some point in time. It does give me an opportunity to go do something else I haven't done in quite a while, and that's cook. So I've been looking for ingredients or for recipes online that sound a little unique, and I can use the stuff I have in my house. Actually, I found a really cool website where you go in and you check off all the things you have in your pantry, in your fridge, that kind of stuff, and it matches up recipes that will use those items. And it comes up with a lot of interesting stuff. I made something the other night for dinner, which was kind of tasty. It was using a baked potato. You bake some potatoes, as you normally would if you're making baked potatoes. You fluff them up with a fork, and then you put on top of them a mixture of ground beef that you had browned with some onions and green peppers, some, whatever spices you wanted, like some pepper, some salt, that kind of stuff. And then you added some salsa to that mixture and some Parmesan cheese as well. And then you laid that all down on top of the baked potatoes. Put them in your oven at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes with that. Oh, you topped it with a little bit of shredded cheese, again, whatever you had, and served it. And actually, they were like a stuffed baked potato, but they were actually pretty tasty. And I'm sure you could do variations on the things that you're going to stuff it with. Yeah, true, Ilona. So now this part of it, it's going to stitch a round circular piece here, and that's where that part, let me grab one of the baskets right here where it's got the word, this one says things. It's going to stitch that in, and then you have to cut it away. It's an applique. So I'll show you how that works in a moment. So let's get this going. And I'm just laying the fabric right down on top of the felt. And I made sure I had a big enough scrap piece that there'll be lots of overhang, because you're going to cut that away. And the last part of this is, I'm not going to bother cutting that away yet. I'm just going to leave it. And now it's going to put in here things, the word things. Now I could change that on here to whatever I want to say, but for the sake of the demonstration, I'm just going to leave it as things. And so there it goes. And this only takes a second or two. And I need to grab my applique scissors. Let me grab those. So I can cut away this fabric piece to start with. And then I'm going to have to do a little bit of a readjustment of my camera angle so you can see what I'm going to do after that with this, the assembly part of it. So yeah, so I found this website that you plug in the ingredients and away you go. And it's kind of cool. And it also lets you do it by what kind of meal, like whether it's a lunch, a dinner, or a brekkie, appetizers, whatever, and even by cuisine. So if it's Asian, if it's Italian, if it's whatever. I really liked it. I think it's brilliant. Because, I always go looking for interesting recipes online. And why am I clicking away there? Okay, that's working fine. It was making a strange noise for a second, but we're okay. Good. So like I said, and I'll look for these, and then I don't have some of the stuff. And right now, that's not so good because, you don't want to just be running out to get one thing. If you've got to go to the grocery store, you want to save it up so you can go to the grocery store, get a lot of stuff that's going to do you another week, 2 weeks, or whatever, so you don't have to go out again. So with this, it picks out what you've already got in your cupboard. And it doesn't just give you 1 or 2 recipes. It was coming up in some cases with like several thousand. So the hard part there was figuring out what I wanted to make. Okay, so we're almost done this part of it. It's just finishing it up. It says there's 1 minute to go, but there's less than that because it's got about less than 100. Actually, here it is. It's finished. Yay, as I speak. Okay, so it's all done. So what I'm going to have to do is, first of all, I need to cut out this applique, get rid of this extra fabric that's hanging around here. Just cut off a loose string. And I think I'm going to have to reposition the camera so you can see this properly. So just bear with me for just one moment. I'm going to pick you up and move you over here. Just going to tilt you down a little bit. I may be out of the shot, but I'm not important. The important part is this. Okay, so there you go. Show you what it looks like. This is all in the hoop right now. So there's our outline. Now this is the part I want to cut away to start with. So I have these tricky little scissors. These are called applique scissors, or some call them duckbill scissors. They have this round part, and they are great. They have this curved handle, and they're great for cutting close to stitching without cutting the stitching. So that's what I'm going to do. Now this may be a little awkward for you to see. Let's see what I can do about that. Move you in just a little closer. I hope that's a little better. And this was just a scrap piece of fabric, so all I'm doing is I'm just placing the scissors into that, and you can actually pull on it, and as you cut, it'll sort of come away from your stitching. And when you're doing in the hoop designs, what they call in the hoop designs, this is something you will do quite a bit of. So these scissors are expensive. I think they cost me about $45 Canadian when I bought them. And I kind of balked at that when they were first recommended, but you want to know something? They're one of my best investments when it comes to tools and for scissors. And there, that's all I had to do with that. So there's what we have right now. So these are the buttonholes I was talking about, which will be the tabs, and I'll explain those in a minute. But the first thing I need to do is unhoop this and then cut all the way around these edges here. It's a little bit of fussy cutting, so we'll pop it out of the hoop. Get this out of our way. And now for this part, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I've got some straight edges here, so I'm just going to take this is my rotary cutter and a straight ruler, and I'm just going to put it very close, maybe about 1/8 of an inch away from the stitching line. Yeah, I know that's a bad angle. You can't see it from there. Okay, let's turn you guys around. Going for a ride. Here we go. And let's just make sure you're in the shot. There, that's a little better. Okay, so using my ruler along here, about 1/8 of an inch away, and my rotary cutter. Now, you don't have to have a rotary cutter to do this, but I find it just makes short work of this. So I've cut that edge, flipping it around. Now I can't use the rotary cutter to cut the whole thing, wish I could, but I can cut the bulk of this out. And let's go down along this line here, again, 1/8 of an inch. And the same on this side. And now, this is what I'm left with. Just show you here. So, I've got to cut all the way around there. I will show you what we're going to do with those in a second. Actually, maybe I'll do these first because it gives me something more to hang on to. So I've got my trusty little seam ripper right here. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to push it in. So there you can see where I've got it in, the point in there. And then I'm just going to rip up to the other edge. Simple as that. And you're going to do this to all 4 of them on this side. Oops. It doesn't matter if you go a little crooked, nobody will look for it, or nobody will see that, but you want to make sure you stay inside the sewn lines, the borders. And you don't want to cut those stitches because those are what are keeping it from, well, felt doesn't fray, but still you want to stay inside. Okay, so I've got those all cut. Now the next thing I've got to do is I've got to cut out these pieces around here. So I'm just going to use my regular scissors for that, cutting about 1/8 of an inch away from the stitch line. Don't cut into the stitch line. Although if you did cut into, oops, sorry, I'm out of shot. If you did cut into the stitch line, it probably wouldn't matter because felt won't fray, but it kind of makes a nice little border. I think I'm going to switch over to a pair of smaller scissors for this. But you can see how fast this really is. I know I may be going out of shot a little bit. I can't be helped. Awkward to see what I'm doing here. And just this last little piece. So I think you could see how this pattern could be adapted to, you could make a template with this pattern on a piece of like cardstock, draw it out onto your fabric or to your felt, and then just cut it out. You wouldn't even have to worry. Before I was talking about doing some stitching around it, but you know, I think you could get away without even doing that. Okay, so there's what I've got right now. So how does it go together? Well, let's flip it over. Now here's this tear away, which I'm leaving in because it makes my little basket a little stiffer. So all you do is you take this little flap, bring it in, and take the next flap over beside it. Hope you can see this from my hands here. I'm just checking in my monitor to see if you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to get the right angle for this. Yeah, okay, that might be better. Push it through the hole on that one. This is the bottom one. And sorry if right now you can't see this very clearly, but I'll show it to you in a second. So you just pull that through. So there you got it, through those two. They're lined up. And then you're going to go through the top two. It's as simple as that. Nothing to it. There we go. So there's one side done. And now we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. Pull that up, put it through the bottom one on one side flap. Oops, sorry, got one out of the shot. It's not really as awkward as it may seem right now as I'm doing it. It's awkward because I'm trying to keep it in the camera shot. It's where I need another person to hold my camera for me. But I was going to say I could get Walter, but he's still in bed. But then actually I don't think he is. I think he finally got up because I heard the shower going a few minutes ago. So then through the top ones. And then you just shape it. You take your fingers, push them inside here, just push down the insides, and you're done. And you've got yourself a cute little tiny basket. Just like that. Isn't that neat? Actually, I kind of like it with the black, even though I did the black just so you could see it better, but I think that turned out pretty good. I'm going to turn you around here, just a second. You'll probably get dizzy. Okay, let me get into my position here. There I am. Okay. So yeah, it's as simple as that. So you could post that out flat pack. Hint, hint, only kidding. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean with it. Yeah, that would be an idea. But like I said, I wish I had a way of being able to put things up like PDF file or the actual file itself so people could download it, but I don't have a web page, and I would need a web page to do that. So I can't. However, I will try to remember after I'm finished on this video. I'll try to put the link in the show notes below for you as well, where you can actually download it, but and get the instructions, the PDF. I'm trying to think if I was to print this out, I could probably make a PDF template of this. So that if, for those of you, like I've said, that if you don't have an embroidery machine, but you want to make one of these, you could just draw it out on a, you know, trace it out or photocopy it, put it down on your piece of felt, and just cut around it. And you could make it that way. You don't really have to do any sewing. I will think about that and I will try. And if you're interested in getting, if you want a PDF like that of what you could trace out, send me an email, Stephen Bland, Stephen with a V, Bland, at sympatico.ca. Sympatico, sympatico.ca. So Stephen Bland, all one word, all lowercase, at sympatico.ca. And I'd be happy to email you out a PDF when I get it done, if you just let me know that you want it. So, okay, guys, so it's running on noon. I did say this was going to be a short little live broadcast for this. I do have another project that people might be interested in, be a little bit more involved. It doesn't involve the embroidery machine, but it does involve sewing, and it's this little tool caddy. Somebody mentioned to me in the last live, they saw me using it in the background and want to know how to make it. Well, I can show you how to make it. And I'll do that as a live sometime in the very near future. I just have to get my act together and organize that. So if you're interested in this too, watch for when that live happens. It won't be for a day or two. May not even be until next week. I don't know yet. But anyways, thanks for joining me. Everybody have a great day, making the best of our, isolation here. Keep safe, keep healthy, and we'll see you soon. Okay, so bye-bye for now.